elders. I said, why you giving me the worst job? And I seen this brother way over on the other side of the auditorium in front of a door that nobody went through. That's what he said, Mother. He said, I chose you because you could handle it. I stuck my chest down. I said, them other boys couldn't handle it. And we were standing there and I was turning folk away. They weren't arguing with me. They going about the business. And the person who's over us, he got real mad because somebody kept leaving the door. And I understood why he wanted me at that door. So you got to know the art of increasing and decreasing. Because if you don't, you will feel offended when you don't even supposed to feel offended. These are higher dignitaries coming in. Jesus, in this instance, was a higher dignitary. John knew. John said something like, if you're going to receive anything, you better receive it from above.
Yes, yes.
And he had an answer for them. And so he tells them this parable. He says, he speaks of the bride. And he speaks of the bridegroom, that Christ is the bridegroom and we are the bride. He was basically telling them, now you're seeing the bridegroom. You're seeing the one you should be married to. I'm just a friend that was invited in. Now, he tells them this. And he tells them why he should decrease. Now he says he must increase. His ministry must take over. His ministry must rise. His influence must rise. And mine must decrease. Yeah. Now this is a man that understands his role. Church itself is made up of many different roles. And as one of the church mothers said, you got to stay in your own lane.
Yes, yes.
You got to stay in your own lane. Everybody has a role. Some roles are of honor and some roles of less honor. But in God's eye, you're doing a work for the Lord.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
So he must increase. And Jesus got to increase in us because this is part of the struggle. If I came to him and I was in self-absorbed, when I get there, I got to decrease and he got to increase.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
He got to increase. So you got to learn how to increase or when to increase and when to decrease. Some people, young man started preaching and he was a brother in the church. He started preaching and he preached his first sermon and he decided that he was going to get numbers of all the pastors that he could. And he was going to call them one by one and preach in their church. Well, of course, it did not work out. You got to know when to increase and when to decrease. You got to know where you are in ministry. And there has to be a time of development. In anything, you have to have time to develop. It just does not happen overnight. Let me point your attention to, as far as servanthood, to Matthew, the 26th chapter and the 36th verse. So you got to know when to increase, you got to know when to decrease. Even in a marriage, you got to know when to increase and when to decrease. Even on your job, you got to know when to increase and when to decrease. From 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm the boss. But if another boss come in that's higher ranking than me, I got to decrease and let them take over. Got to know when to increase and when to decrease. When we look at Matthew the 26th chapter and the 36th verse, we see Jesus. Then cometh Jesus with them into a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. Sounds to me, when I read this, I began to think about when Abraham, being obedient unto God, was going to kill his own child. And he told the servants to sit here, and me and the lad will go yonder to worship the Lord. Actually, he was saying that the sacrifice that he would make would be worship unto the Lord, and that the Son would be the sacrificial lamb. But Jesus had a ram in the thicket. Now, notice how he says to the disciples, sit here while I go and pray yonder. While he is in front of them, he is strong. He is strong. This is coming to a time of his death. How many times have you been through the worst situation in the world and had to be strong in front of your family? Be strong in front of other people. But then he does something interesting. He knew when to show strength, and he also knew when to show his weakness or sadness. Everybody can handle what was going to happen when he stepped a few steps further. When they got younger, of course. Everybody can take when you get over yonder. Every once in a while, you're going to feel sad over yonder. And so he brought them, and he set them down, and he says, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Notice that there are some things that you can't show to everybody.
Come on here.
Oh yes, you can't show it to everybody. Everybody ain't going to understand what's going on here. I thought he was so strong. I thought he had it all together. When he got away from them, he took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful. He began to cry. He began to wonder about purpose. He began to be sorrowful. He began to say, I wish I didn't have to do this. I really don't want to leave you guys. And he's there, and they're with him. And you don't hear them saying a word, because he's having a moment. And you will have some moments. But if you are a real servant and a leader, you know when to have your moments.
Yes.
You know when to have them.
Yeah.
You know who to reveal how you feel to. Because sometimes you can reveal things and people will twist them because they don't have a spiritual mind.
That's it.
Oh, I'm talking in this place today. Oh, the servant. Sometimes the servant feels alone. But he's not alone. It's just a trick from the enemy. You're not alone. There's going to be somebody in your inner circle that you can trust. And he's sorrowful and he's crying. You know, it doesn't say that he's crying, but it says he's sorrowful. He was very heavy. He was weighted down. How many of you have been weighted down and heavy?
Oh, yes. Come on.
Feel like you can't move another step.
Yes.
This man is fit to die. He's going to feel pain until his spirit is released from his body.
Yes.
He's going to experience death. How would you feel But he tells others, he has the sons of Zebedee. And he